one thing can't be denied. Bobby is the only person running for president right now who has addressed the fact that in the United States, by 2030, Vanguard, BlackRock, and State Street are going to own in excess of 60% of the single-family homes in the United States, effectively making everybody a renter and not being able to build generational wealth, hence making this plan, if you will, come to fruition, where basically you have a serfs class across the board. And the fact that he was willing to say that and is the only person who's been talking about it is very significant. And we've had people from all different spectrums of the political arena come in and say the same thing, which is not only are you not able to afford a home and build generational wealth, but these mega corporations have no regulations on them whatsoever. They have bought the homes and they're buying the government, hence completely destroying the system. And the fact that Bobby is talking about it is very, very significant.
Mm-hmm. And he's talking about CBDCs too, and how they want to use digital, he's speaking in support of Bitcoin and decentralized and competition within currencies, which is huge. He hasn't been speaking out directly to the Federal Reserve, its creation, its influence, the fact it's about as federal as Federal Express, but give it some time. And but he's also proposed this idea of the 3% mortgage for actual individuals as opposed to the corporates, because the corporates, they're sitting on all the cash. They'll 20%, sure, they'll play that game. It makes it completely inaccessible for the people. So I mean, that's definitely, it seems to be the agenda towards serfdom and continued domination, as has been a weird fantasy and desire, let's say, of some of these people. But we must, I told this to Alex Jones during the trucker rally. It's Alex, you've done such a great job of showing what we don't want in the world. Showing that, everything that we don't want to have happen. You're doing great. You're really laying it all out there. But, but the imagery of Prison Planet and InfoWars is it creates conflict and division. And also we're just highlighting on what we don't want. So it's can we, I asked him and implore him, can we have some discussions about what it is we do want? Can we start focusing our energy and our hearts and our minds and our voices on what it is that we do want, and working together towards achieving what we do want, working towards ideal outcomes, understanding the challenges, putting forward the challenges towards achieving those goals, and then enabling through radical collaboration this incredible global community of innovators and creators and coders and activists all around, and to be able to to come together as this lightning rod and do things that you'd say are impossible, but really it's not. We're in 2023, exponential technologies all around us. If the right group of social innovators come together, and if you have someone like Bobby Kennedy as a storm that also acts as a catalyst towards helping people, we can do things. And you said independence is that word, and I will say right now that we're working on something, I'm working on something with others on independence, towards bringing people towards creating this third branch, but in a decentralized function, so that come November 5th, 2024, you'll be able to, just like the Republicans will, here's your down vote. Are you a Republican? Okay, here's who you should vote for. Well, are you an independent? Here's who we're suggesting you vote for after going through our deliberative, iterative process. And we have oaths from all candidates saying, potentially saying that we will listen to whatever the hell the people want. And let's open this up and let's choose a new path forward, as opposed to even listening to that person we were talking about earlier.
Well, unfortunately, that's my congressperson. So it's one of those things where if I don't use my platform to challenge her as my congressperson. It would be one thing if she weren't my representative. Then I'm bitching about someone else's representative. But that is, in fact, my representative. And she is also a representative of the Jewish community. And right now that is causing issues, and it's causing problems for other people, which is then why I have to take issue with her. That's why I don't like talk about her like in a personal way. This has nothing to do, like, this isn't personal toxic nonsense, right? That's my congresswoman. And she puts out stuff like that. And that is not representative, not just of me, but anybody I know here. So if we don't speak out, then what?
It's fair.
It's fair. And I would suggest, like, and she needs to have that heard. And the truckers did something really good. Like, you do it peacefully. You bring music, you bring vehicles, you light it up.
That doesn't always work. And I'll tell you, I was at Stop Cop City at the block action this past week in Atlanta. And I was marching in a big group of people that are singing songs like Love Is Our Strength. And they're literally carrying saplings to go plant in the forest. Okay. These are tree hippies, no weapons. Okay. And they're marching, and we're coming into contact with a whole full line of cops in riot gear, couple of tanks, helicopters flying over, and then they start tear gassing as soon as they get to the line. And it's like, that just sounds like
that sounds like a terrible container.
It's dystopian. And so but I've seen it firsthand.
Wouldn't you guys want to, if you want to go plant trees, like, wouldn't you want to go towards like the fields or something?
Well, they're walking up towards the woods. And what's so screwed up about this is, I don't know how much you're knowing about Cop City, but
I don't know anything.
Yeah, it's a big deal anyway, what's going on in Atlanta. But their over militarization, it's like, it's so off the charts. And that's one of the things when we talk about things like, a lot of times when you're talking about cryptocurrency, and he knows this, I'm hearing whatever. And all of that decentralization stuff, and that's all fine and dandy. And I appreciate all of that. But if we don't talk about it hand in hand with the militarism that we are seeing across the board, it will not matter, because the military industrial complex is in charge of everything right now, everything. And so it's like, if we don't address that, how are we going to deal with anything else?
Yeah, that's a very fair point.
And we saw that in Canada with the truckers too. It's like, the Ottawa police, like, by the end, they were ready to break. Like, they were ready to be like, fuck this, we're out of here. And so then they had to, like, they needed to get their stormtroopers together. So they had to pull, like, based on the data, they pulled probably like the most aggro cops from all over. There's even some suggestions that they were bringing international kind of like forces to be there. And again, like, a lot of these people didn't have badges; they had identifier numbers, but it was like, that was it. It's literally stormtroopers,
yes,
like, coming in. And so, like, that's a real kind of issue. And but there's lots of ways to, like, creatively do this. And, like, one of the things that they don't like is a high vibration. And, like, one of the things like that threatened them about the Ottawa thing with the bouncy castles, the saunas, the dance parties until 4:00 in the morning every night, fireworks going off. Like, it was 17 days of Burning Man in Ottawa, codenamed Freezing Man. And then, so what do they need to do? They needed to get bring in the stormtroopers, bring in a horse, like that horse trampling, like, that was, I'll say it, that was like
about Canada. It's something
that was like, that was done on purpose. Like, they want to get these horrible images. It's like, oh, we got an old lady, like, oh, that's a good one, because that
you know what? So this is something that these people get off on. So a few days before the event I was at, there were they call them their community elders. They're 4 older women. One of them that I saw was in her 90s, and they were sitting in chairs on a public street, mind you, in front of this area, and they all 4 got arrested. And I'm thinking to myself, if you're a cop and you're arresting a 91-year-old granny, and they were knitting, by the way, and this is who you're arresting, how do you not think something went terribly wrong with your life? That somewhere along the line you've done something wrong. I don't understand how they can't see that as messed up.
I am of the belief that they are basically being given orders. It's not that they're doing this because they necessarily want to do it.
Then you need to find it. Then everybody with conscience needs to find a different line of work.
Well, you know what? That's easier said than done.
You've got to reread your oaths too. Yeah. You've got to it comes back to that and there's a lot of veterans too, and calling out the veterans out there, think about the oaths that you took and then the actions that you took and reflect, and were you actually serving your oaths? And by being removed from the system, are you satisfied? Because guess what? You're invited. You're invited to re-enter, re-engage, re-participate, reorganize, because we need warriors, and we need elders, and we need grandmothers and mothers and fathers and children, we need all people to basically come together and say, I declare my independence. Let's pick a new path forward, and let's try and not, and this is it's going to be the difficult thing, but it's there's a lot of thirst for vengeance, and that is not going to solve the problem.
Thanks for watching. If you want to support our mission to transform politics into service, please like this video, subscribe, follow us on social media, and consider joining our Patreon, where you'll get early access to our interviews as well as other exclusive content. Links are in the description. Peace out.